Okay, so and last time we introduced the notion of an array in PHP, and without looking at the sheet, on a blanket, what is an array in your mind?
A table.
Table, all right.
That holds variable.
It holds variable. Okay, keep going. Many variables.
One has 0 to 10. One might have 1 to 11.
Okay, all right. What about and okay? So and what's the thing that links these many variables? Shelby said many variables.
It's kind of like a multiplication table.
Common name, common concept, right? So they're related. They're contextually related. So, you know, all the names of my children could be an array. I might call it children, and then each index would be.
Can you call it a family variable?
It could be family. Yeah, sure. Yeah, you call it anything you want. Family. A family of. Are you saying like what is an array of family of related?
Like family of related variables.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So that's what an array is. It's just it's a group of related memory locations, and unlike strict programming languages like C or Java, I'm not. Yeah, I think Java you have to predefine every single memory location, right? And if you're in even Visual Basic, if you're using explicit, option explicit, you have to have every single memory location predefined. In PHP, guess what? Arrays just pop in and out of existence at will. So we can create an array in line 7 of the file, add a whole bunch of elements to it, and it just dynamically updates our array. So, okay, now the way that we think of it in terms of PHP is the way Paul was talking about it as a table of values. That's a good way to look at it. And in the left, it's 2 columns. The left column is the key, and the right column is the value. And the keys can be either numbers or strings, right? What's the only requirement, assuming that we meet those 2 conditions, numbers and strings, what's the only requirement about keys? They have to be
Different.
They have to be different. They have to be unique. In other words, you can't have 2, for this particular array of vegetables, right, you can't have 2 beets as a key, right? What happens if you try to do that? In other words, and I think it's down in the next slide, but let me just bring up my temp.php program that I was talking about. And I create a vegetable of beet, and notice that $veg square bracket, since it's a string we want to put it in quotes, double or single quotes, does it matter? No different, doesn't matter. I prefer single quotes because I don't have to press the shift key. I mean, really, that's why I do that. It's one less thing to worry about. So okay, so veg beet is equal to red, which I think the example shows color, right? So as soon as I create that line in PHP, assuming when we run this program, it creates a dynamic array called vegetable with 1 value, 1 memory location right now, where the reference is beet and the value is red. Now, let me ask you this. Give me another red vegetable. Apple, that's all I can think of. Okay, we're stretching it.
Strawberry.
Okay, well, strawberries still. Okay, so veg apple equals red. How many memory locations do I have now?
2.
I do have 2, right? There's 2 because again the keys I also refer to them as indexes. There's 2 different indexes. They both happen to have the same value, correct? That's okay. 2 memory locations. Okay, now at this point, I guess purplish is a color, right? Now how many memory locations do I have?
You have 2, and 1 conflicting index?
Well, be specific. There's no maybe sort of. At this point, after this 3rd line's been executed, there are how many memory locations?
2.
2. What happened to red? It got pushed out the other side. So think of it as sort of like a, I don't know, this is a strange analogy, but like a memory location where if you push something in, something else has to fall out the backside. That's, I don't know, right? So as soon as you put the purplish in there, the red falls out. So now there's exactly 2 memory locations. And how about this?
So now you just messed with that.
Veg equals potato. Now how many memory locations do I have?
You have one.
I have exactly 1. What happened to the beet and the apple?
Yeah, push
Yeah,
that.
push that.
They're gone. They're gone. I've just destroyed my array and created a potato in its place. So we've turned an array, which was an array of vegetables, into a, what's the word that describes, what's the opposite of array?
Variable?
Keep going. We've used the word. Starts with an S.
Step.
Starts with an SC. Scalar. That's the terminology you have to know. Scalar is a single unit, an array is multiple units with the same name. All right, so if you understand the logic that happened there, you're in good shape. Okay, so let me get rid of the potato, and let me do this. How many memory locations now? There's 3. There's 3. I'm allowed to mix. I'm allowed to have arrays, strings and numeric indices mixed and matched. It doesn't care. Okay, it just tacks it on as another memory location. It's probably not logical to do this. It's probably not a good idea. In fact, it's probably a very bad idea to do this. Okay, if you start with strings, you should probably stick with strings. Start with numbers, stick with numbers. But this is okay. This will work. Any questions?
If you had code in there, and then you did vegetable equals like carrots later on, would you have an array and then do
That-
scalar?
You
So like,
go ahead. That
can you do that?
to do.
Put
Give me.
something in between those?
To put something in between. I'm not quite sure where am I putting it in between.
Like put in if statements and
Okay. Well, you can have all kinds of. You can work with all these variables. If that's.
no, I mean like do your array like that, put in some if statements and do the veg equals carrot. And have the array work at the beginning and then change in the middle.
Okay. Well, you could. I strongly recommend you don't do that. I would strongly recommend once you've defined an array, keep it in an array. Okay, because it's a logical nightmare to keep track of all that. It's a good question. It's possible. Doesn't mean it's a good idea. Okay, it's possible to go 100 miles an hour on the thruway. Might not be a good idea. Okay, so think about that. PHP makes a lot of things possible, and that's the guiding philosophy of the language. PHP makes easy tasks easy, and hard tasks possible. But again, you have to weigh what's good and bad. Okay, one more thing here. Give me another purple or another red vegetable.
Apple. Oh, sorry.
We've already done apple.
Rhubarb.
Pepper. What's this doing? Rhubarb, okay. Equals. What's this doing?
Just, it's like a function within a function.
It's not really.
Well,
It's not really. It's overcomplicating it. What is this? What's the net effect of this? It's creating a new memory location because we don't have veg pepper, right? And what is it setting it equal to?
beat.
What's that?
Beat. Well, it's saying it.
It's not setting it
So
equal
the-
to beet.
the
That's a
output
good
of
question.
beet.
Is it right?
The output of beat.
It's not setting it to an array of beets. That's another good point, but it's not. It's setting it equal to
Red.
purplish.
Oh.
Veg of pepper is equal to purplish. Why? Because veg of beet is currently holds the value of purplish, right? And so it's. What if it's the same as if I did this? Now veg of pepper is equal to 3. Right? Okay, so again, on the right-hand side of an equal sign, you're just referring to the current value of that memory location. On the left-hand side, you're assigning. Right? These are all important aspects, and we do get caught up on it. In fact, and Jen, I'm gonna use your example. Okay. Let me do this. $beat equals veg of beat. What is that doing? Is it creating a scalar or an array? A scale. It's creating a scalar called $beat, right? And it's setting it equal to purplish. Okay, and then we do this. What is this doing? If you get this, you understand arrays. $veg of $beat is equal to yellow. And it's first of all, this is logically incorrect. It's possible to do it this way. In fact, in some cases, it's useful to do it this way. But trace it. It's not that hard. Trace it and figure out exactly which memory location gets created and what it gets set to.
So it's saying vegetable purplish equals yellow.
What's that?
It's saying veg of purplish equals yellow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's exactly right. This is the same as veg
so wrong.
of purplish equals, actually let me put that on the next line. Veg of purplish is equal to yellow. Do you see that? Because it makes the substitution in here, and this happens in every language. It's not unique to PHP. Every programming language with arrays is you're going to do this at some point. So you just have to follow the trace. If you see a $beat inside there, it means, hey, I have to have predefined it. It was equal to that, which was purplish. So it's setting veg of purplish equal to yellow. Okay, if you understand that, if you can trace that, then you're in much better shape than other people at the same point. Okay, so keys are unique, and if not, you push them out the other side. If you have an array and then you try to change it to a scalar, it destroys the old array. Those are the most important parts. Here's how you can define arrays. We talked about this last time. It's pretty straightforward. You do the array name on the left, the index in the middle, and the assigned value on the right. You can also additionally create an array by using, I call this the array construct, but it's just a function. It's a PHP function. So you can say vegetables equals to an array, and then the way that we do this is you use what we call the key value reference. On the left side is the keys, then the pointer operator, it's an equal sign with a greater than, points to the current value. So this is saying that vegetable sub corn equals yellow, vegetable sub beet equals red, blah, blah, blah. All right? You can also do it with numbers. So these examples here correspond exactly with the examples on the previous slide. So make sure you got that. All right? In addition, we talked about collision. I'm not going to go through this again. We've talked about accessing array elements. But let me just go through here. Veg equals an array. We have a vegetable array here now. Veg equals veg sub 0 is corn, veg sub 1 is squash, and veg sub 2 is leeks. So tonight I think I'll eat veg sub 0, corn, and veg sub 2, leeks. Same thing here, but I do want to point out we've talked about this, accessing array elements. Actually, I'm going to add to this. Okay, let me go back to my slide here. Back to my PHP code. And I'm going to just refer to vegetable sub apple right up here. So let's focus on this. Let me in fact, yeah, let me just get rid of all this other stuff. I want to print out right now my favorite color. That's good enough right now. Color is red. Okay, I know how to do that. I can just type the word red. Give me two other ways. Or sorry, just give me one additional way without actually typing in the word red, how to make red appear at the end of that print statement.
You put in a $sign veggie, veg apple.
Okay. And it looks like I should do this, right? All right. By all rights, that should work. Unfortunately, and this is just one of those weird PHP oddities, this won't work. This is going to give you a syntax error. Let me prove it to you. And it's not just a syntax error, it's a hell of a syntax error, right? Well, here's what's going wrong. It sees these single quotes within the double quotes and it doesn't know what to do with it. That's that encapsulated string error that was on line 7. What you need to just remember, and this again it's an oddity, is if you already have quotes around your string, you don't need the quotes on the inside. Alright, it's just an oddity, but this will work. Alright, so let's just make sure it works. And I'm going to actually exit here. When you're debugging your code, here's a great tip. If you want your program to terminate prematurely just so you can check the values of certain variables, just put an exit command in there. It'll stop everything. So everything after that will not work. And that, oops. So let me PHP it, and it worked. Alright, so again, if you want to reference the vegetable sub apple, it'll print out red. Good. All right, so that's how we reference things, and we sort of did the same thing here. Okay, shortcuts for numeric arrays. There's lots of little shortcuts throughout array construction, and here's the short form of an array. Right in the array function. Actually, let me actually show you an example here. I'm going to get rid of this temporary file. Okay, my array, or my veg equals array, and we did 0 points to corn, or something like that. 1 points to, what was it? Squash. And 2 points to leeks. And if you print out my veg sub 1, it's going to return squash, right? Well, if you're going to, by default, and this is again for most programming languages, when you create arrays, the default first number is 0. Okay, typically programming languages start by counting with 0. So this is pretty standard. If that's the case, if you want just a standard assignment, you can shorten this to eliminate the key values. You can use the shortened form of an array, which just puts in the values. So if there are no pointers, it assumes this. You want this one to be value 0, or sorry, key value 0, key of 1, key of 2. So print my veg sub 1 is going to print out squash, just like we expected. All right. So it's just a shortened form right there of the shortcut. Oh, another shortcut. You can also add other elements at the end. So watch this. My veg sub. Now, what would be the next my veg that you would reference based on the shortcuts above? What would be the next logical memory location? 3, right? Because 0, 1, and 2. So the next logical one would be 3 equals, I don't know, broccoli. Why not choose something I can't spell? Is that right? Kind of, almost. Okay, I think it's almost right. Sure, that would be the next logical location. Now let me ask you this: what if I did 6? And this is again, a question based on what language you program in. Let me show you a nice tool here. There's the printr function, which will print out, it'll sort of dump out a picture of your entire array. So the print_r function will print out an entire array. It's in the notes, I get to it in a second. But let me just show you what it looks like. What do you think it's going to look like?
It's going to have a bunch of blank values.
My veg sub 0 is going to be corn, sub 1 is squash, sub 2 is leeks. Clearly sub 6 is going to be broccoli. What about 3, 4, 5? Is there going to be a 3, 4, 5?
I think so.
In some languages, yes. I think maybe Java, yes. In PHP, no. So it's gonna. Let me just write it, save it. It's not going to fill in the missing spots. All right, so you got to be aware of that. We good? What is this going to do if I just put the square brackets without anything at the end of it?
It's going to be 3.
It will fill in the next numeric index available. In this case, 3. Good. Let's make sure. Right? Okay, there it is on the bottom.
So could you do shortening within that one too? To make like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5?
Okay, well watch this. I'm going to really mess you up here. What do you think is going to happen? Let me do this. And again, I could spell out all kinds of rules and regulations, and I could say if this, but you'd have an if-then chart the size of this room. So I think the best thing to do is to work from examples and then figure out what's good programming style, what's not programming style. What do you suppose is going to get created here? Oh, let me get rid of the minus sign. So I'm pointing 2 to corn.
I was like, what are you trying to do there?
I'm pointing 2 to corn, and then squash and leeks, and for that matter, broccoli are left with the shortcut. What memory locations do you think are going to get created? 2, 3, 4, 5?
I'd agree.
I'd agree. 2, 3, 4, 5. If it sees a blank, it'll assign it the next numerical available value. All right, so for that matter, what if I do this? I don't know what I just did here. I gotta go into insert mode. That's my... Something happened to my keyboard, folks. Think it's funny, Seth? There we go. Alright, so let me do this. Maize points to corn. Blank. So I have a key value pairing for maize and corn, but now squash, leeks, and broccoli are empty.
Maize 1, maize 2, maize 3.
Clearly maize is going to point to corn. What's going to point to squash?
2, 3,
It's, well, I think... What did I say? What's the rule? It's the next numeric available option, which would be
2.
0.
Wait, what? Oh, okay. I thought for a second.
Right?
Be 1.
Right? Why? Why?
Why maize would be 1? Because it's...
The maize is maize.
Alright.
Maize is not 1.
Well, it's
maize
true
is not
versus
0.
false.
No, maize is maize.
Oh, fuck
Remember that. Write that down. Maize is maize.
Maize is maize.
Maize is not a number, maize is a string. So if you are assigning blank values, it's the next available unused numeric index. All right, it makes sense after a while. And again, is this good style? Absolutely not. But it happens, and so you have to be able to debug it if it just... But this is actually a very useful tool, this assigning a blank index, because it will tack on to the end. All right, so it is very useful to play around with. Okay, so I think... All right, so I think we've kind of... Oh, okay, the count and printr, we've talked about the printr. It's very useful for debugging. I think at any time you're ever using arrays in your program, use printr to get a visual representation of your array at any given time. Never use it in production. Shouldn't be having printrs out in your on your web page. That would be considered bad style. The count command simply counts the number of elements in your. So what if I printed out count of my veg? In this example, it's going to be what? And it just gives you the array size in a numerical form. How many elements? How many memory locations is basically what it's asking.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Let's see. Now what do I do? 4. Why only 4?
Why does it leave a
Oh,
filter name?
never mind.
1, 2, 3, 4. So count is just another way of size of. But in fact, it's not really a size of an array, because when you get to multi-dimensional arrays, it's not. What count is actually counting is the number of keys at that level. Because as we'll see later on, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. In fact, I'm definitely getting ahead of myself. But we'll do it anyway.
Let's do it.
Okay, let's do it.
I like the challenge. It's not a hard one.
What did I just do here? This is the next slide, or the next probably sheet, but you guys can handle it. You're good. Okay, so how many at the my veg level, at the first level, how many keys do I have?
1, 2, 3.
Maze,
3.
0, 1, and 2. So there are actually 4 different keys, right? So print count of my veg is still going to be 4. Because it has 4 distinct keys at that level. Yes, no?
Does that mean the fourth one equals all of the numbers?
But tell me about this 4th one right here. This my veg sub 3 contains an array on its own. It's an array within an array. And you covered this hopefully in your introduction to programming. It's possible to have arrays of arrays. And so my veg sub 3 is actually its own array. And what are the values of its own array? You guys heard in here?
So,
0 points to 2, 1
Okay.
points to 3, 2 points to 4, and 5 points to, or 3 points to 5. All right, you want me to prove it to you? Prove it to yourself with a printr.
That's like your word for it.
No, you can't. That's what it looks like. Maze 0, 1, and 2, where the 2 is special because it contains as its value another array, which one of its values itself can be one of its keys can point to another array, and so on and so forth. So you can have nested arrays as many levels deep as memory permits. It's probably not going to be useful to go more than 2 levels, but definitely 2 levels is reasonable to expect. In fact, you have to deal with 2 levels when you deal with posts and gets and that sort of thing. All right, so have that understanding, at least at this level. Okay, so we did a count, we did a printr. Looping is always fun. All right, so let's do some loops. And you guys have been participating wonderfully, so I'm going to continue with this because I think that's, this is useful. Let me change my veg back to, I think it was broccoli, right? All right. Let's print out, using a loop, all of the different array elements. Okay, so in other words, I want to print out, I like corn, I like leeks. Sorry, I like corn, I like squash, I like leeks, I like broccoli. 4 distinct print statements. Well, you could print, I like corn. We probably want to do that, right? I like squash.
Yeah, but we're lazy.
Well, you should be lazy. There's three virtues of a good programmer.
Laziness.
Laziness is one of them.
Shorthand.
Hubris is another. That means you're,
Prideful.
what's that?
Prideful.
Maybe, okay. And the third one is, I forget what the third one is, but there's a third one. Okay, but one of them is laziness.
Forgetful.
Yeah, maybe forgetful. That's the fourth one. But one of them is laziness, and you should definitely think, I don't want to do this, and I don't want to keep writing these print statements because we can run a nice little loop that would take care of it. So in this slide here, it talks about how to create that loop, but let's just do it. In fact, well, no, you can do this on your own. Let's just stick with me here. I like corn, I like squash. We don't want to do that. We want to use a for loop to do, or a loop to do this. And you could do this with a for loop, like we talked about, right? We talked about last time. But when you're dealing with arrays, there's a for each loop. And the general form of a for each loop is for each, and then your array name, as value. So where array name is the name of your array, so in this case it's going to be my veg. And the value is what we call, it's a local variable. It's a, you guys understand the concept of local versus global, right? The value is, $value is, we're defining it just for the purposes of this for each loop, right? And it can be anything. It doesn't have to be the word value. This is a very common misconception. That $value can be V, it can be dude, it can be whatever you want. Let's just do dude. My veg as dude, and then we open up our quotes, and it will basically run through all of the elements in our array, and in order, print out the values. Okay, so I guess dude's not a good word here. Let me change that to, let me call it dude val. Dude val. Dude, okay. Just to represent that it's actually a value, but the dude there is a kind of a comic way to say, hey, it can be any name that we choose. And instead of saying I like corn, we could just say I like dude val. And it has the same result. It goes through each of the values, that the thing after the as goes through each of the values of my array, sorry, corn, squash, leeks, and broccoli, and prints them out. Let's just make sure, but it'll work. Clear it. Oh, I guess I haven't cleared it. Oops, what did I do wrong? Does anybody see what I did wrong?
Oh, you didn't put a parenthesis or a semicolon after.
Didn't put a, yep. Semicolon. I like corn, I like squash, I like leeks, I like broccoli. Okay. How about, what if we want to loop through and print out, instead of printing out the values, what if we want to print out the keys? Well, the second form of the for each loop, this is one form where we just reference the values, which is a lot of times all we ever need. But if we want to reference the keys, we have to use the pointer reference. So I'm going to, again, it's for each array name as again, just to show the comically, not so comically, but still not, in kind of a lighter tone, that as long as you reference your array name here, you can use the pointer reference after as, array name as the key pointing to the value. Make sense?
And you just declared those variables there. You don't have to
yeah, I'm just, they actually will end up existing beyond the end of it. The scope is kind of messed up in PHP, but anyway, yeah, I just created them on the fly, and they'll change each time through the loop. So what if I want to, so what would the end result be of predict the output is one of these. I like dude key in there.
Maze 0, 1.
It's going to print out I like maze, I like 0, I like 1, I like 2. Got it? Because now we're referring to the key value. Without using the word dude eval, you're not allowed to use that now. But let's check. Hold on. Let's just make sure that this works. I want to prove it to you. All right. I like maze. I like 0. I like 1. I like 2. Do I need to stop? Anybody? Your head's full, right? But we got more to do. Without using the word dude eval, you're not allowed to, or dude val. You can't use that, right? We know that we can print out this, and it's going to print out I like corn, I like squash, I like leeks, I like broccoli. Print out I like corn, I like squash, I like leeks, I like broccoli without using dude val.
Also, just change the use for it.
What's that?
Just to, are you saying just change the variable name? Of
No. I'm saying you're keeping that as dude val. You can't touch this line, but you can't use it in this line.
Couldn't you just literally take it out
I could, but that's.
for each my veg, and then
I'm not. The only line I'm allowed to touch is this print statement.
Oh, and then dude key.
Like that. Let's see what happens here. You're on the right track, but you're not there. If I print it out, where's my clear? There's clear. You can't print an array. It'll just print out the word array.
That's funny.
Yeah, this is it.
You'd have to do my veg.
My veg.
Dude key, right?
Ah, man, you're all right. You're all right. I take everything back I said about you. No, of course not.
Which if you say
That's
right,
it.
sounds like dude.
That's it. That's beautiful. All right. Most people don't see that right away. That's excellent. Because what is dude key? Each time through the loop, dude key is maze 0, 1, and 2, right?
Yeah.
What is my veg sub maze? It's corn. My veg sub 0 is squash. Excellent. So to prove you're correct. Now, check this out. Let's okay. Let's see if I can. Do you understand the idea of looping with for each?
Yeah.
Okay.
Would it be wrong or improper to just use a 4 and then use the numbers that the original, like 0 through 1 or 0 through like 4?
It's never. I understand what you're saying. It's never wrong. It's never wrong. It's personal preference.
All right.
But looping with for each has a lot of advantages that looping with
Like 4
numbers.
each is made for it.
Yeah,
Alright.
for each is made for this because then you can have, if you're using a for loop and you have gaps in your numerical sequence, you
Yeah.
might run into trouble.
All right.
Okay. Okay, so let me go back to this now. I'm going to get rid of my broccoli and maize and all that stuff, and let's just call my num. Do I want to do this? No, I like veg. Well, I like the vegetables. Okay, so this is very important that you understand this, right? Now let me go back to this, and I'm going to do this. Dude val dot equals I don't know. Let's get like a Zen thing going here. I don't know what. And okay, so let me get rid of the period. What's this going to print?
I like corn ramen.
I like corn rama rama. I like squash rama rama. Very spiritual. I like leeks rama rama. Right?
We sing that song.
I just stretched. I just did. Okay. So now my question to you though is, what is going to happen with this line. The print R my veg. And you don't know the answer to this, so it's just a guess, but give me an educated guess. What is print R $ my veg going to produce after that line? Do you understand what I'm getting at? What am I really asking if you had to take... I'm asking you...
values are going to be Rama.
I'm asking you, does this, by appending, right, we're basically concatenating Rama to the end of each vegetable, which is silly as it says, that we're just doing it, but does it change the actual array, or does it just change this variable which is local in scope to the for each loop? The answer is it's going to just change the local variable dude val and not touch the array. Really, you see the array doesn't get changed. What if we want the array? What if we do want the array to get changed? Oops, am I in the same trouble?
You have to do .my veg and then append that to Rama.
You got the right idea. Do you understand what the question is? I actually do want to put Rama at the end of each element in my array and keep it. Dude val didn't work because dude val is a local variable with scope of for each. But I need to change this line somehow. What do I have to change in this? What do I have to put for that line?
My veg.
Good. My veg.
That equals, right?
My veg. Dot equals Rama. You're in a world of hurt with that. Let's just do that.
No.
But you're good. Good.
I mean, to get rid of it.
I didn't see the last line until just now.
Right. Yeah. You're in a world of hurt. Okay.
It's so absurd. It's hilarious.
Because what did it do here? It
Alright.
as soon as you do my veg dot equals, it says, oh, they must have wanted to get rid of that vegetable array and create a scalar. So what do you want this line to be?
You can get rid of the equal sign.
You don't want to. I'm forcing you to keep everything. We're on our way here.
My veg.
So essentially, what do we want to do here? We want to update the maze memory location. Instead of to just have corn now, we want the memory location to have corn Rama. Yeah. And how do we do that? By referencing, we could just say my veg dot maze.
Could you just type array?
But we don't, but that's just that one variable. And then we want it to be 0, and then we want it to be 1, and then we want it to be 2, or you tell me.
Array.
Pedro? Yeah. No? Anybody? No?
Oh, dude val. No.
Ah, dude.
Or no, dude key.
Because that's the memory location in the actual array itself. You're referencing my veg sub maze, the actual array memory location, not this temporary variable that we set up down there. So this will work.
And that's permanent? That won't...
That's permanent.
Alright.
Because we're referencing the actual array, not some temporary variable that we set up just for the purposes of convenience of that loop. Okay? And let's check it. Okay, so corn, squash, leeks, broccoli, but now the... Oh, and actually, I didn't accomplish what I set out to do with the print statements, but you can fix this, right? I like my veg sub dude key. Again, why did I use the word dude key? To just show that you can name that anything you want. Just make it reasonable. And typically we use $key points to $value. That's the standard, but you can do whatever you want with it. You can use $K points to $V. That's fine. Just understand if you have nested for each loops, they'll conflict with each other. So you got to be, a little bit flexible on your on your approach.
I like the dude key thing. You should.
You can do dude key.
It's a nice because you always look at the forms like on PHP.net, and it's always like, well, is this or is this a system variable, or like
Right.
what's going on?
Right. Yeah. Right. Exactly. Right. So this is just to show that, that you can name it whatever you want, and just keep it, standardized as best you can. Any questions? So, I've done all of these. Okay. So we're done with this slide, and we've got 6 minutes left. Now, what I want you to do, everybody did the project, right? Everybody did the project?
I just need to get my printed out.
Okay, so here's what I want you to do. Okay, yeah, I'll take the printouts when you get. Go to, can you log in, however you get in there to your WinSCP or whatever you do, and can you copy your, actually, do we want to do this? Yeah, let's do some, let's do some improvisation here. Go into your Project 2 folder. Now, I don't have a Project 2 folder, so I think I'm going to use my Monty Python reference. And copy the form down to just your public HTML level. So it's outside of Project 2. I don't want you to mess up your Project 2. So make a copy of, and here's how you would do it, I think. So here, like if you wanted to, if you were in Project, actually let me get a Project 2. HTML. Let me just rename this to Project 2. And you shouldn't have in there survey.htm. If you want to copy it back to its parent element, it's in WinSCP at least, it's as easy as grabbing it and dragging it to the dot line. Remember, dot stands for parent directory, first day of class. And it'll copy it up there. Okay, so everybody should have a survey.htm or something equivalent in their public HTML folder. And make sure it's there. Go to your web browser and try to access it. Can I borrow somebody's survey? Who's very especially proud of their survey? Okay, David, I'm going to grab yours. Your D need one. And there's yours. Okay, so I'm going to copy yours, okay? Is that okay?
Mm-hmm. Well, hopefully I copied the right CSS and that too. I think I did.
Well, that's okay. Oh, actually, the CSS might not show up if it's relative, but that's, so I'm going to put it in my home public HTML folder.
It's supposed to work without it, so I tested it.
Okay, good. Okay, so and it should be surveyed. You should be able to just go to your home directory and just do survey.htm. Oh, and there's, okay, so there's your form.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what's going to happen if we submit it? Oh, you got this damn HTML5. That makes it so hard to debug. I'm going to ask that you guys don't use HTML5 for projects so I can easily debug it.
Okay. Want me to take it off?
No, that's all right. It just, you see now I'm opening up Window Media Player and
I got so used to it, but I can change.
now hopefully you're checking in the background. Are you verifying things in the background?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. You did. Look at you. Okay, now you're at your home level, at your home directory level. I want you to do this. Create your survey proc.php program. I have stuff. You shouldn't have anything in it, in yours. Right? Create it at your public HTML level. And what I want you to just do is this. Print R $_post. That should be the only line in that surveyproc.php folder at public HTML level. You're making a brand new one. You're not in your project folder. You're in your public HTML. Okay, so go in, now create a file called surveyproc.php. Okay? And so in other words, here's what I want. Here's what I want it to look like. I saved it. So when you submit your file now, I'm just printing out, doing a print R, and it's showing all the data. You see? Now again, you'd never use that in production, but you're definitely going to use it in debugging. It really helps. Second thing I want you to do is before the PHP tag, just open and close pre-tags. I know you're not supposed to use, well, you can use pre-tags. Yeah, that's reasonable. What that'll do is it'll make the array, the print R, display nicely on your screen. You kind of understand what I'm getting at, right? So, what did we just print R? We printed R, or print R $_post, which indicates $_post is just an array. It's just an array.
What was the slash preview?
What's that? It's pre-formatted. It will, if you have a line break, it'll just put a line break without the BR element.
Oh.
It's just a convenience thing. Okay, so the last thing, and then we're done for the day, is, and if you don't have this, you can just pay attention. Take out the print R. And what I want you to do is create a for each loop.
So hit that latch.
Yes, oh, I'm actually not going to do anything here. I'm going to let you do it. Create a for each loop that, since we know that the post is an array, it's basically just an array. I want you to print out something like, I want it to say the key equals, let's see. Actually, let's just do it. $_post as, we're going to loop through the for each loop, so what are we going to use? Let's not use dude key and dude val, let's just do key points to val. That's my personal standardization. I always use key points to val. And I just want to print out every single element in that post array. You could just do this. Key. Another debugging thing that I do all the time is I use ... to separate things. Again, it's however you standardize in your approach. This is an extremely useful debugging tool for figuring out what's actually coming through your form and where it's getting sent. You can either use this for each loop or you can use a print R loop. But what is this going to produce? All of your names in your form, the actual name is going to be on the left-hand side, then a ... and then the actual filled out value is going to be on the right-hand side of this print statement. So you go back to your form now, hit the back arrow, fill in some stuff. Right? Submit it. Oh, I forgot here. I forgot to do this. At the end of the print statement, do a \n. So it'll give you a new line. And then I hit F5, but notice on the left-hand side, are all of your elements. And look at David's form here. What's interesting about this? Does this make sense? The process we're just looping through all the post elements, the keys on the left hand side, the values on the right hand side. What's interesting about David's output here, right in the middle?
Oh, array.
So David created an array of elements. Did you know that you did? An array of elements for his GCC courses. Now, that was actually, I wasn't expecting that. So let's go back and take a look at his thing here. If you look at the source code, where the hell is it? Where did you pick that up? Did Dreamweaver do that for you? Where'd you learn that?
I looked in the book. I was looking for Jim Saberman's class.
Okay.
I just said, let me give that a shot. And
Yeah. Yeah. So this is, we're going to get to this next time, but when you want to, if you have a related group of checkboxes, you can define them as an array within an array, which is where I said we're going to go next class. Okay. So anyway, hopefully this kind of starts to make sense how you can loop through elements. So lots going on here. An entire introduction to arrays. Everything to the end of this class is on the next test. Okay, and we're going to do some stuff, obviously, next class that won't be on the exam. So, all right, so this is sort of the cutoff point. Good enough? All right, well, good luck, and we